Welcome back. Yes, Anshu, you had a question.
Yes, sir. So right now you were discussing, right, that it is because of our neural achievement that we had that black portion in our vitality, this thing, and it is also our neural achievement that we are today talking about it right now. So
Yes.
my question is that is it in this scenario now that we are talking about it now, is it possible to achieve that ideal case?
No.
Okay. Maybe we need to discuss
Yeah,
on
yeah.
that.
So, with the current understanding, we can say no, but I don't know. We can debate on that maybe in our
Okay.
inquiry session. Yeah, yeah. So, this
Okay.
is something like that. Can we know the truth ever? Answer is no. Always the journey
Sir,
towards truth will continue. Yes, yes, Dr. Dubey.
sir, on this black portion, I want to say something.
Yes,
This
yes.
is voice of the organism. Actually, people make dependent on this extra stimulation of the pleasure, like a person who used to take tea and coffee.
Mm-hmm.
In somehow in a few days, they are dependent upon that. They don't get out their stool without having tea and coffee. They
Yes,
are making dependent on that.
yes, yes,
And
yes.
like alcohol and smoking, body indicates in earlier when you take a new smoker, he start smoking, he has bouts of cough. This is voice of the organism. This is unpleasant thing that is going inside,
Yeah.
but you go on suppressing the thing, and later on you plunge into this COPD and bronchogenic carcinoma. In the same way, if you take binge of alcohol to stimulate your pleasure, and the way in the next week you get hepatitis, liver enzymes are raised, you get treatment, again you suppress this thing, and you go on continuing alcohol, and ultimately you plunge into this cirrhosis of liver and hepatocellular carcinoma. That's all.
Yes, yes. This terminology is a little heavy for us, but yeah.
Sir.
Thank you for sharing this. Yeah. Right. So let's proceed with our discussion. So we were at solid food yesterday where we left. Now let's understand and bring some rationals why raw. So the question is, why at all raw is so important for our conservation of energy? Why at all raw food is so important? So we call it a raw story. Now, a raw story, RAW, incidentally, the raw food is also RAW. But here RAW means radiation, air, and water. So what we basically need is radiation, air, water. Even if the solid food that we consume, we dig out the radiation, air, water by disintegrating that food. So the organisms are of two types. One is autotrophs, other is heterotrophs. Autotrophs are those organisms, auto means self, troph means nutrients. So those organisms who can produce their own nutrients. So the plants, actually, the plant kingdom is autotroph. So autotroph actually assimilate RAW and produce their own nutrients as integrated RAW. You call it whatever, apple or mango or orange, though that is nothing but integrated RAW. We talked about everything has got everything. That is what is this RAW. Now, heterotrophs, they also consume RAW, but they need a solid food also. Solid food separately to sustain. Now, this solid food comes directly or indirectly from autotrophs. We know that food chain, right? The lion is also dependent on autotrophs indirectly because the goats or the deer lion eats, are dependent on autotrophs directly. So that way it goes to them according to the structure. Heterotrophs actually consume whatever autotrophs or directly or indirectly depending upon their structure. Structural support has to be there, and the voice of the organism should support the acceptability. This all we have discussed yesterday, that the palatability is the indicator of any natural substance to be a food. So for a lion, deer or goat is palatable, but for human beings this is not palatable directly, isn't it? So we'll explore the further reasoning how it affects the vitality. Now what happens when we consume a mango? Mango is basically an integrated RAW. Now this integrated RAW is actually consumed, and we do disintegration first. We disintegrate it first. Disintegration of RAW, integrated RAW happens, then we assimilate the qualities of RAW in form of reintegration. So we reintegrate this into the body cells. That's how it goes. First disintegration, that is the catabolic action, then the reintegration, that's the anabolic action that we do for further assimilation to the cell. So during the disintegration, we liquidify, and during the reintegration, we solidify. We'll come to that a little later, but for now, we count the steps first. 1, 2, 3. 3 simple steps to get the benefits of any food that we consume. The shortest chain. Now what happens if that mango is taken to a factory? Then in the factory, there will be a disintegration of mango, chopping it. Then there will be a reintegration to make it a mango juice. And that mango juice then consumed by us, and we do disintegration of that mango juice, which is reintegrated in a factory with intention to lure us. So to lure, they have to mix it up with chemicals. We need to identify that. Then after disintegration, the same process, we end up reintegrating it into our body cells. So here we identify that there are the number 1 step is same, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in both the cases, you see, both the cases, the last 2 steps are done by us, those who are consuming the last 2 steps. Now, these require our vitality. We need to invest our vitality for disintegration and reintegration. And there the energy transaction also happens. We'll come to that a little later. But we need to understand that our vitality tasks are these last 2 steps. Longer the chain, the harder the task. Longer the chain, the harder the task, because of the complication that has been implemented on the raw material. So here the task is complicated. Further, here it was a simpler task. So this second case, and this one was case number 1, and this one was case number 2. So in case 2, the last 2 steps are harder and it needs more vitality. So the first case is conservation of vitality, and second case is depletion of vitality if we compare. Now let's carry forward with another case of a few grains. So we start the story here with few grains. Grains, maybe rice, wheat, or whatever. the grains, and those grains are nothing but integrated RAW. And here, one chicken, I don't know, yes. Anyway, you need to consider this as chicken. So the chicken has consumed it. Now, when it has consumed, it has disintegrated and reintegrated those grains and made its body flesh. Because chicken is also heterotrophs like us, they also conducts these two steps after consuming the food, disintegration and reintegration. Now, after reintegration, the body flesh, what we get due to our voice of the organism, we cannot consume it directly because this is tasteless. Rather, it is very foul taste or the bad taste if we consume it directly. We don't like it. Statistically speaking, a few exceptions we can discuss later on if it is raised, but normally it is not palatable. So for that purpose, we need to take the chicken into kitchen and we disintegrate it in the kitchen. And further, we reintegrate it as chili chicken. Or chicken masala or whatever, a chicken curry. Then we consume that chicken curry and we try to disintegrate it, and further we reintegrate it into our body cells. Now let's start counting the steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 steps. And the same last 2 steps are conducted by us, which are far more complicated. Which are far more complicated than the shorter chain of executions. So definitely this is a task which needs a lot of vitality from us. So we are not going ahead with the terming of good or bad or anything. We are talking about the mathematics of vitality, how it impacts the vital load, vitality load. Now let's continue with the calorie concept fallacy, because this is quite connected. What happens whenever we consume a food? Food undergoes these 2 steps, disintegration and reintegration. Disintegration of the food that we consume, then reintegration of the nutrients assimilated. Now, this disintegration is liquefaction. Liquefaction means decreasing the density. We understood the concept of density yesterday. So here we reduce the density. Here we reduce the density. And reintegration is a process of solidification. So whatever the nutrients, those are absorbed, that get solidified into cells in this process. So you need to give heat in the process of liquefaction, and you get heat in the process of solidification. Let's say X calorie we need to give and Y calorie we get back. X calorie we give, Y calorie we get back in the process of digestion and assimilation. So now the question is, out of X and Y, which is bigger, which is greater? If X is greater than Y, then we don't get any calorie out of food. If y is greater than x, then we get calorie out of food. Now we need to understand that liquefaction happens in a gram, which is the total quantity of the food that we consume. And y calorie, the evolve of the heat happens out of b gram, which is assimilated nutrients out of A. So the quantity of the food is much higher than the assimilated portion of nutrients, because we identify that there is a stool portion, which is a huge portion out of the portion that we consume. So from a total portion of the food, a smaller portion is assimilated and solidified. So since A is much bigger than B, the heat evolved out of A will be definitely higher than Y. So there is no question of getting energy from the food, but we have to spend energy in the process of digestion and assimilation cumulatively. This is a fallacy of calorie concept that we actually get to hear, that such and such food gives this much of calorie. Actually, such and such food may need this much of calorie for digestion. This could be a term, but we take it otherwise. Right. So any question? I open the forum, then we'll go ahead with the rest of three factors. We'll read through the proposals. Yeah. Yeah, Rohit. Rohit, you want to say something? Okay.
Sorry, by mistake. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Vikram?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I want to understand.
Yes.
So in case of raw food,
Yes.
so if I'm plucking a mango out I'm separating the mango from the tree. So eating the mango after 6-7 days. So if I keep it in the refrigerator, will this add something to the chain? Because what I consider is the mango itself is disintegrating in itself, like right?
It's going to rot.
Yeah.
And that's the process of disintegration within itself. Yes. So what is the question?
So if I eat after 3-4 days, so will this add to the chain?
Yeah. So how to identify? Now, see, there could be many concepts coming up and proposing that this will be that impact and that will be this impact. But who will identify what is the impact? Who is eating? Through the voice of the organism. So the fresh mango versus a mango kept in refrigerator for 5 days. After that, when you consume, there is a change in the taste and your experience, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if it is far more palatable, then it is far more relaxing. If it is relishable, the moment of the relishment, if you can identify the best relishment for any food, this is again from seed to the soil, the journey is like this. So here it is unripe, then it is ripe, then it is fermented. So here at this point, the relishment is extreme, and this is the highest conservation point. So the relishment, natural relishment, identifies the highest conservation. If you consume seed, if it is tasteless, then it is not the conservation, highest conservation. If it is unripe, then also it is not conserving. If it is fermented, then also it is not a conservation. And if it is soil, definitely it is not. So the voice of the organism will identify how much conservation you have.
But my initial voice of the organism will be from the outer appearance of the mango, right? So if it is, I will have a look at the mango and I will think that it is
Naturally.
ripened mango and
Yes.
then I should
Yes.
eat.
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
that is the later stage, right?
Taste is the later stage. Yes, agreed. The look is the first stage. Yes.
So I
So
will continue
look wise
eating.
also you can identify the freshness and not freshness, the refrigerated fruit and
Yeah.
the non-refrigerated fruit. You can identify look wise, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yes. Right. Any other question? Anyone?
Like regarding mango,
Mhm.
when it is raw, like unripe mangoes are also very attractive, especially to me. I mean,
Mhm.
I would love to, enjoy that. So that is not having the highest.
No, taste wise, which you identify most relishing out of the ripe and unripe?
I mean, of course, ripe is that.
Yeah.
Ripe is definitely preferred, but then when the mangoes are not yet ripe,
Yes.
when it is raw, I mean, that is also very much relishable. Sometimes I like, imagine and dream of those, like that sour taste. So, what is it? Is it my voice of organism, which
Yeah,
is
perhaps condition, but never mind. You need to compare the ripe and unripe here. You are bringing a separate unripe dream,
yes,
dream of unripe mango. But I propose to understand this particular roadmap of seed to soil. The ripe is obviously far more attractive than the unripe, undoubtedly, as a general framework, right?
yeah,
Isn't it? If you are given
yes.
both the things, ripe and unripe, which one will you pick up? One
Yeah,
picking up is allowed.
like depends on what is that
No,
I
no.
am.
You are hungry. You are hungry. You have two mangoes in front of you, and you are allowed to pick up one. So be genuine and answer. It
Yeah.
will be the ripe one, isn't it? In the
Hmm.
hungry state. Those are recreational eating that you are dreaming about, the unripe
But
mango.
so in that case, will my energy be used more
Yes.
as compared to ripe?
Because the unripe mango will have an impact on your teeth and on your digestion. Everything you can identify. And unripe mangoes are relished with salt or any spice onto it. Right? So then you stimulate the taste and suppress its uncomfortable taste. You identify the intentional element here.
Yeah, I mean, I not necessarily want to have it with salt or chili.
Okay.
Even in general, the raw one is sometimes, I'm like very much interested. So
to identify this, Rashi, you need to go to two mangoes in a hungry state.
okay.
You are too much hungry, and that time, which one do you like the most?
Okay.
That's your food.
Okay.
Yeah, Shilpi.
So I wanted to understand when you say that the calories which are consumed in digesting it is more than the heat that it gives. Then how does it help in building the body?
Because of the building material. This is the raw material. This is the raw material of bodybuilding. So two things are different, the bodybuilding and yeah.
I can add something here.
Okay.
Per se, if we take macronutrients in the form of carbohydrate, protein, and fat, and carbohydrate breakdowns into the simplest form in the digestive tract, like carbohydrate breakdown into glucose, that is the simplest form. The body
Sir, let's not go into the part analysis this way.
Sir,
Pure nature cured
that
product
is I am trying to how body builds. That is Silpi's question. That I
yeah,
want
yeah.
to.
Yeah. So let's try and understand with the simplistic physics understanding, physical understanding, that about a building needs two things. One is the raw material, and second is the labor force. The labor force is the vitality, and raw material is this food.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Are you able to understand, Shilpi?
Yes. So the labor force is the vitality. The labor force is getting used, and
Yes.
the raw material is
Raw material, the cement, sand, and brick is the
Yes.
food.
Yes.
So we get the raw material and we build the body.
Okay. Fine.
Right?
Fine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Anshu, quickly.
Sir, actually, I wanted to talk about what Rashi was saying regarding the ripe and raw
Right?
mango.
Yeah.
Sir, from my point of view, I can say that in my whole family, I'm the only one who likes semi-ripe mangoes a lot. Sometimes even more than the ripe mangoes. It is not only about mangoes. When I was small, I used to like a little raw banana. Not fully, like semi-ripe, it is in between. And there was nobody else in my family. There was no other stimulation. There was nothing else. I didn't add any other taste also. But I always enjoyed that taste more than the ripened ones. So
Try it once when you are too much hungry, when you are famished. Then that time you bring two mangoes. One is ripe and another is unripe. And then mindfully forget about the past. What happened is happened. Mindfully you pick up one piece of ripe mango and put it in your mouth. Then you put another piece which is unripe. Then you will be able to identify the difference. Right?
okay.
Generally for Homo sapiens, a ripe one is far more palatable. Unless conditioned, due to many reasons we get conditioned. Yeah. So we need to forget the past and examine whatever the happened. Right. So we'll quickly read. Vinal, will you be able to read the exercise rational, spine care rational first? Yeah.
Sure. Spine care rationals. The spine is the most important accessible organ of the body. The brain and the rest of the body are connected via the spine. Toxic sensitivity of any organ or part of the body is transmitted to the spine. If the spine is relaxed and balanced, energy is conserved.
So here, what we need to understand is the spine is the most important accessible organ. What does it mean? Most important accessible organ? The brain is the most important organ, but it is not accessible. You cannot give a massage to your brain, which is actually covered with the head, and head is hard enough protecting the brain. Brain is very fragile, and that's why the massage is not allowed naturally. But the spine, which is the bridge between the body and the brain, is accessible. So we can do adjustment, and all these parts of the spine are well connected throughout the body. So any body part is, if it is toxic, then that corresponding part of the spine will have sensitivity. So there are experts called chiropractors. They can identify the toxic, the highly toxic area, and can be recommended with hydrotherapy for better management and conservation of vitality. So this is one thing. But in general, if we can maintain the balanced posture of the spine while a different position, sitting, lying down, walking, like giving equal weight on the spine, so that the spine becomes relaxed. Spine becomes relaxed. So that time, actually, we end up conserving a lot of energy. So spine is relaxed and balanced, then energy is conserved throughout the body. So if we can give relaxation to the spine, we end up giving relaxation to the body. So for which in the booklet, you will find a few hydrotherapy also are recommended. That also can be opted. Next is exercise rational.
The lymphatic system mediates the transfer of nutrients and toxins between the blood and the cells. It is an open system, hence it does not have any pump. unlike the heart in the closed blood circulatory system. The lymphatic circulation is supported by being physically active, regular stretching, and movement of joints.
Yes, here yesterday we were discussing about the lymph and the transfer of the nutrients and the toxin by the blood to the cell. So what happens? The cell and the blood are connected via a fluid called lymph. And this open system, which is there in between the blood and the cell, is called lymphatic system. Lymphatic system. So what happens? The nutrients come from blood to lymph, lymph to the cell, and the toxin comes from cell to lymph, then lymph to blood. Now, if the toxins are too much here, then the transfer of the toxin to the blood gets blocked, because lymphatic system is an open system where there is no pump. Like in case of blood circulatory system, we have a heart as pump. So there is no pump. To compensate that, we have joints, and in the joints there is concentration of lymph nodes like this, where the toxins are accumulated highly. So more we move the joints naturally without bringing any intense here, the more is the transfer of the toxin to the blood, so that the blood can further get filtered through the filtering elements of lungs, kidneys, and skin. So this is the rationale of exercise primarily. We'll reopen that maybe in the last session once again with the questions, because we don't have much time in this session, and we want to start the mind next session. That's very important. That's the most important. We'll quickly read the sleep rationale, then we'll break for the next session. Yes, Vinay.
Sleep is a natural response of the body. Major repairing of the body happens during sleep. Quality of sleep depends on the depth of sleep. Deep sleep happens during the absence of natural light between 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. The quality of sleep is affected by an alarm or a plan to wake up.
Yes, so it's a natural response. No planning works for the sleep. Only the identification of this fact that when there is no natural light, that time the sleep is programmed to be deepened. So which is the time from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. So if we can bring our sleep cycle during this, the primary sleep cycle, otherwise whenever we are tired, we need to take rest, and if we are having a nap or sleep, that's absolutely fine for the conservation of vitality. So the night sleep is recommended from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. time slot. You may start at 9 p.m. Or 8 p.m. Closer to 8 p.m. is recommended for a quality sleep. So it's not about the quantity sleep, but the quality of sleep. And aim to wake up is a disturbance of the sleep. So if early we can go to bed, then there is no pressure of getting up early, because automatically you will get up pretty early, and quality will be enhanced and quantity requirement will be reduced gradually. So we have around 1 minute. We can take one question if anyone has. Otherwise, we'll take a break for the next session on mind. Thank you, Binam. Anyone has got a quick question? Otherwise, we'll take a break.
So is it recommended to sleep at 4? Sleep at 8 p.m.?
Yeah, if you can.
Okay.
Nothing like it.
Okay.
Like, the sunset is there. After that, the artificial light means artificial stimulation for your body. So more you sleep during this period, more you avoid artificial light. And that's always, more you avoid anything artificial is better for your conservation of vitality.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's meet up using the same link with 5 minutes of silence, and let's dive deep into